Jump. Hello, everybody. It is good to see you. Here we are in the workshop of Wood Spun Round. We're going to have a good time today. I've got uh, I've got a gaggle of friends today. Let's see. If I hit that button right there, you'll see them all. There.
Mm,
Mark's got a foghorn.
I was going to say.
so I could find.
Mark Beckett, fresh in from Turkey. Uh,
Gobble
Oh,
gobble.
there's a couple of
no,
things I
no.
could have said there, but we'll let that go. Ruby Claire in from the North Country of Canada. We're glad to have you today. And
I'm glad to
Jamie
be here.
Page.
From
It's good
somewhere.
from somewhere. Maybe the back alley somewhere. Oh, me. I'm going to throw these guys back in the background for a bit. Let me show you what we're going to do. Then we'll get started. I've got here, well, let's see, it's probably best right there. A finial. One of the items in the list that Wayne asked for several weeks ago. This was one of the items there. That was a great list I got. The more I've thought about it, the better that list seems to have gotten. We've done a couple of them already. In fact, I was going to use this finial to put on the box that we did last week. That was one of the items. And the box is already at the retail store. There's a couple of people who were talking about buying it, so I didn't bring it back home. So we're going to use this. We'll keep it in stock. We're going to turn another one. That was just the example. We're going to turn another one out of some blackwood. And then as time permits, we may do a maple one, may even do another oak one. That first one that I had for an example was oak. So we're going to get started on that as I get the lay set up and get myself set up. One of these three is going to read out who's in the chat for us right now.
I think it was already said that Mark was going to do it on his return, wasn't it?
Oh,
Oh, was
Yeah,
it? Oh,
Wayne
yeah.
said he was passing the responsibility on to Mark.
Oh, it's like that, is it? Okay. Right. Okay. So I'll go to the top of the list. I won't go from participants list because that looks a bit short. So the first one in was Weavow, and we had Malcolm Douglas, Rich Baldock, Radio Face Woodworks, Fred Gilliver, Roger Wallum, uh, Mike Evans, Copper Owl Wood Turning, hi Rob, Jennifer's Craft and Creations, hi Jennifer, Fred Gilliver, Dale from Old Man River Wood Turner, Penny Charlton, Albert Dawson, Gerald Jensen, who else have we got here? Robert Bortwood, hi Robert, Tyler Glen Cove, Barry Chitty, on down, uh, Boston Pedersen with the big trousers,
Hmm.
Billy Burt, hello sir, Burt's Bowls, Susie the Swiss Woodturner, Mike from Dances with Aardvarks, Wooden Barrel, Clint of Wood Dances, Huey's in, hello Huey,
Keep it classy.
Roy Shug, and Nigel Harvey, and I think got everybody at the moment.
okay.
If I missed you out, it's because I'm stupid. There you go.
If you missed, it's JP's fault.
No, it's Huey's. He's in here.
Oh, okay. It's Huey's
It's
fault.
Huey's fault.
Let me just point out something real quick
Hmm.
here. These jaws are brand new to me. I got this set and another set, courtesy of Rich. Thank you, Rich, so much. Rich works for Nova and knew that I use Nova equipment, and he sent me out. These are the new Hornig Hornig
Jugs.
jaws. In fact, Jeff might drop into the chat here in a little bit. He may not. He's been having internet issues out where he lives because of the storms. But anyway, these are the Hornig jaws, and I also have what to do with them. Here they are. And a lot of people have been. I mentioned these a while back. Jeff mentioned them, and I put it out there that they were coming. These are the new dome
Oh,
jaws.
nice.
So
Very
I'm excited
nice.
about both sets. These are both small, very small jaws that are in there now, the Hornick jaws. They'll do smaller things. They grip a 3/4 inch pin blank without any trouble whatsoever. That's what the other whatever I did with that other finial. Um, anyway, it grabbed that blank for that real easy. This is closer to an inch, and you see I've still got loads of room I can crank down. And so that's what we're using today is the Hornick jaws. I'll see. Depends on what I intend to turn next week. I may use the dome jaws next week. Um, both sets I think are going to be so handy. I'm excited about them. So these are available wherever Nova is sold. Jeff Hornig also has them at the wooden walnut
Walnut
log.
log.
I'll spit it out in a minute. The walnut log, and I'll put his link in the description after a while. Meant to do that
Before
earlier.
wood turners in. Hello, Andy.
Hey Andy. All right, I'm going to start off at 1500 RPMs for now, and we may change that here. Start off with a spindle roughing gouge just to get it round.
Looks like Huey's classiness is disengaged. Re-engage it, Shug.
I think you could possibly find a bigger roughing gouge, can you? I don't think that one's big enough. Jesus,
My
man.
big one, I had to send it out to get sharpened.
If you need a bigger one, I have a 3-inch one.
Oh, with like sizes and everything.
Ruby,
So
I
I've
get
been
enough
told.
grief with this one. I don't need a 3-inch one.
Your
What you
image has frozen, Doug.
frozen?
Yeah, change camera a
Yeah.
sec.
Is that better?
No, it's still stuck on the overhead, buddy.
Hmm. Oh, I see. Okay. Um.
So
Oh,
I
there
was
we
in
go.
first. Oh, everybody. Well, there he goes. He'll come
No.
back.
It says I'm disconnected.
Well, Mark, in the meantime, you could show your tray with all your plants.
Yeah.
What? You've seen the pictures. You've heard me waffle on about them. Those are the planters
Ooh.
They came out
with the
quite
plants.
lovely.
They come out alright, actually. Quite pleased with those. And despite Ruby thinking this was an accident, they've all got a little plug in the bottom for drain
Not
holes. They're
saying
not
nothing.
funnels. Shut up, Paige. It's there because it's meant to be there.
I was just checking.
I've used that excuse a couple of times.
And a lot of people have been commenting on how have I been treating the insides. These are only oiled because the plants that go inside these are a succulent, and succulents only need to be watered very little once a month. The soil doesn't really get damp, so the wood isn't going to rot. So you don't need to worry about it.
Good
Don't
point, Mark.
overthink it, folks.
I guess I
They're
could fill
not.
in.
These Susies out, they don't have to be watertight.
I
Don't
get.
make it more complicated.
I guess I could fill in a few minutes with a picture of my latest turning.
Let's do that, Ruby.
There we go.
Oh, there's one.
Here he is. He turned a book.
That's a lovely
That's
picture.
lovely.
Nice.
Somehow my browser lost connection, so I have to switch browsers. So we should be good from this point on. There we go. Now let's get back to overhead. Now we can carry on. Carry on. Ah.
You kind of look like AGK with a micro tool.
Pretty close here. Pretty close. This one's going to be kind of long and slender. It'll have to be for a bigger piece that I'll be turning down the road a little bit.
You're going to use a skew. Raymond Wise is in. Hello, Raymond.
How you doing?
Herbert Dawson. I may have mentioned him earlier.
Going to get a little touch up. Get up here where you can see it. Just a diamond hone block. Sharpened this on the stone not long ago, and it really just needs touching up periodically. All right.
Albert was asking, where's Wayne? Right. Wayne's taking a little break for a while, folks.
Thank you for asking.
He won't be here with me for a while.
Going to eat a Kit Kat.
Okay. Have you seen that commercial for the Kit Kats? With the two twins and the two bears? Makes me up, that does. It's the snap and the crunch when you bite into.
Can't say I've seen that one.
Two bears talking about the people who eat the Kit Kats. And they're all having the same conversation. It's the snap when you bite into.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's funny.
Jacques Jecker has joined us. This piece of wood is African blackwood.
Mm-hmm.
And Chris Walters wants to know that hope you're doing well, Doug.
I'm doing well. Thank you, Chris. Yeah, life is good here in Kentucky right now.
Size for Twix, not Kit Kat. Thank you, Fred.
Our weather has finally straightened out a bit, and it's been. I thought it was going to rain yesterday, but it never did. And it's just been sunshiny and bright and very nice.
We've got the storms coming tomorrow. Today is going to be abominably hot. Like it's going to be close to 90 degrees Fahrenheit.
Okay.
And 90% humidity to go with it.
Right. Wow.
So Doug, can I ask, what's your thought process for the design of a finial? Do you have what you want to do in mind before you start, or do you just make it up as you go along?
A little bit of both. I have a basic thought that I have right here at the very top, and you can't see that very well. Right here at the top, I'm going to do a little bit of a pointed cap kind of thing. After I start there, it's really kind of make it up on the fly. This one will have probably a long, thin neck going to a medium-sized onion, and then another neck, not quite as thin as up here, but it's still another neck going into yet another onion down here. Probably very much like the example that I showed a while ago. There it is.
Now,
I wonder why they call it an onion.
Because that's what an onion shape is. It comes down into a big bulb at the bottom.
Right, like that and that. This one's probably more oniony than that one is, really, because it drops back in. So that's kind of where I'm headed for now. That could change at any moment.
Now, Doug, Jacques is asking if you're finding that blackwood to be as brittle as ebony.
Um,
I typically find it turns a little easier than ebony.
yeah, that's what I'm thinking too. It's been a little while since I turned ebony. Um, and in fact, the last time I actually turned ebony, I was quite disappointed. It was for a pen, and I could not get it to shine, which is strange. I've never had a problem with blackwood getting it to shine.
I found with ebony that actually scrapers work better than gouges do.
You may very well be right.
But with the blackwood that you're using, I found that the gouges work better.
Yeah, yeah, gouge will work fine. Skew works very well as well.
A good thing to practice is to do a bunch of these finials and use different tools to create them with, to practice with the tools. Like, for
Yeah,
example, you could do that entire piece with a beading parting tool
sure.
or a badan. It's a good way to practice your cuts.
Yes, it is. In fact, any project you want to do, if you want to do several of them and learn your tools, that's a great way. Is just make several of the same thing. That's kind of how I got going on a skew finally. I was having so much issue. I'm gonna change out right here for just a moment. I want to use one of Jamie's favorite tools.
There you go. That's what I'm talking about.
I want
I've
a
never
nice little,
ever been good at finials. Never
I
ever.
want a little
I can't. Just
sweep.
can't visualize them in my head.
Yeah. Um, I had that same trouble, Jamie. Um, and finally went to. I was looking through one of my turning books, and it had a whole like 4 or 5 pages of silhouettes, finial silhouettes, and that was really
Oh, okay.
interesting. So you didn't see any wood really. You see what all you saw was black on a white page,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and that helped me tremendously. Just kind of put that idea of what a finial can look like, and that might have been a thing from Cindy Drozda. Some of her thoughts and ideas on finials.
Rebecca the Groot does some really good finials as well.
She does. She does.
Yeah,
I want to take
she's
this
a
down so I
fantastic
don't.
tuner.
Yeah, Heather has joined us, and she's also just started work, so she's watching you from work.
All right. It's good to see you,
Hang
Heather.
on.
Hiya, Heather.
That's as good as that right to left beat has ever felt to me.
That was nicely done too.
I'm starting to be of the opinion, and y'all feel free to jump in and discuss it a little bit if you want to. But well, it's the skew, but also all your other tools. It just seems like the skew is one that most of us fear the most. Um, and it just takes a while before it starts to feel good. That y'all find the same thing?
Yeah, I think that the thing with the skew, probably because I use it a lot, is it's the one tool that benefits from practice more than anything else.
I would agree. Yes.
I tend to find that if you teach people how to use it properly to start out with, they have far less problems using it, and it helps them understand why they might get catches with say even a spindle gouge.
Just taking this side down a little bit so I can get to this other part with the larger skew.
Now, Nigel is asking, did Brian post a sheet of finials?
In fact, he did. I believe it's from the same group that was referring to a while ago.
I haven't seen it yet.
I can't tell you where it was, whether it was on Facebook or I think it was on Facebook.
Raymond Wise said he just came back from a fishing trip north of Scotland. Trout and sea was excellent, but the river level was very low, so they weren't able to catch any salmon.
Huh. All right, starting to get down to size here. Get rid of some of this waste wood.
Now, Todd says that he has a lot of 3/4 stock scraps, so he practices with the skew making small snowmen. Good idea, Todd.
Perfect. Yeah.
Yeah. Build your stock up for Christmas.
Funny you should
Kinda-
say that, Mark, because I was talking to someone else today about starting the Christmas turnings.
Yeah.
Yeah, July, August.
If you do a lot of things like snowmen or
Christmas
Christmas
tree.
tree, now is a great time to get started. So you don't have to stand at the lathe for 8, 9, 10 hours one day trying to get them all,
Yeah. Kind of my
which
life.
is usually the position I put myself in. I think I've told you, Mark. I despise. Um, just trying to get a measurement in my head here. Um, I despise the whole idea of production turning because I hate to stand there and do one thing all day long.
Oh,
See,
you
I
wouldn't
love
have
it.
had fun with me this morning then. The wood mill
I,
called and I went over and picked up the wood and had 4 spindles to do.
Mm,
One nice thing is whenever I do go over to take them back, I usually come home with what he considers scrap wood, which I consider perfect for making Christmas trees and things.
right.
So I've got some pieces that are about 4 feet long. They're about 3 inches or 2.5 square.
Sounds like a good size.
Yeah, but they're also good for when I'm teaching spindle turning to students.
Right. All right. Still got a little. There we go. I think that's got us. Sandpaper will take care of the rest. All right.
Tony, my perfect day is, for me, is to have 250 blanks in a box at my feet and have them all turned and in the other box, the other side of my feet, at the end of the day. The sense of accomplishment for me to do that is just makes me feel good.
Yep.
Yeah, I understand that. It's just that repetition. It would make my back start hurting. Um,
Oh yeah, there's some pain involved. Don't. Yeah, I walk away from the lathe sort of hunched over and aching and swearing and cursing that I'm old, but it still feels good.
I can't wait till you get to my age, Mark.
Really, I might be 55, but everybody knows I've got the body of a 90-year-old. I'm an old life.
Oh dear.
I'm older than all of you put together.
Not quite. It's a good thing
It's not my
Wayne
body, man.
isn't here because we'd remind you how old we are.
Wayne's about the only one who's older than me. Oh,
I'm older than Wayne.
no, I mean in my terms.
Well, I'm just hoping I get to meet him in person this time round when I'm over in England.
You will.
Yep.
He-
Yep.
He's going to be an arrogant. He's got a choice.
Bring some binoculars and look down. You'll be able to see AGK as well.
Is he in the chat with us tonight?
I don't know.
Haven't seen him yet.
I ain't seen
He
him
might be
yet.
lingering.
Squint
He might
your
be
eyes.
lurking.
Squint your eyes. You might be able to see him.
He might have said hello, but he was only using small print.
Now, Paul says he's only 50, but he's got the body of a 20-year-old because he keeps it in the freezer. It's a good idea. Oh, thanks, Heather. She says I look 30 years younger.
Just stepping back just a second to take a little longer look at that.
Could you slide a white paper under it so we can see the profile? Yeah, that's a better view for us.
It's nice.
A little bit of a disc here going into the second onion. We'll probably do the same type of thing down here at the bottom.
Lucy says she's been climbing shelves in Tesco's again tonight.
Well, I just look around and find some good-looking young man that's with his wife or girlfriend, and I ask her if I can borrow him for a few minutes to get something off the top shelves.
So I'll just say the ugly men like to help too, you know.
Yeah.
Mark, you'll appreciate this. The white's going to wash it out.
No, we can see it quite clearly.
You see the long
nice.
threads on there?
Yep.
Yeah. This wood, I like turning black wood because it does turn very, very nicely. Your tool sharp, you can get some fun stuff coming off. Just a bit of a V groove to get started here.
Now, Huey wants to know if he can get some cheese with all that onion you're making.
How dare he?
That would be pretty dairy, wouldn't it?
Now, for a finial that long, you're going to have a pretty tall piece to put it on.
Yeah. I'm thinking
Don't think, just do.
vase with a vase with a small opening, and make this like a cap, maybe, or maybe add it to another piece that can be a cap. All right,
Pete's in.
Hello, Pete.
Pete.
Morning, Pete.
All right, y'all let me know about this vacuum. I've had to change vacuums, and is that loud, or can you even hear it, or?
Can you hear it?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's fine.
It sucks.
Yeah, it sucks.
That's the hope. Okay.
That's
Huey,
Fine,
that's
mate.
what a vacuum looks like out of a box. Can you believe he actually opened up the box so I couldn't do it?
And
it's
Rich
just
is saying that thinking hurts.
It
Sometimes. I'm going to
does.
undercut
I
this.
tend to not do it.
And Ronald says he thinks that finial is perfect for a hollow form.
It probably would be perfect, yes.
I wouldn't like to try and hollow it.
Mike's got a good question there. What's a good exotic wood that will turn down to 0.4 mil wall thickness. On top of a slim high tube has plenty of figure. Blimey, man.
Olive will
That's
quite
30
often.
wood.
You can do that with olive wood.
I would use any
Yeah,
kind of wood, but stabilize it. Whatever wood you want, but
rosewood.
stabilize it with cactus juice.
Yeah, that's a good wood, yeah.
Cocobola will turn down like that.
Yeah,
Yes,
cocobolo,
it will.
rosewood.
There you go. Rich has got it. Stabilized bowl.
Yeah.
Right.
It's a lot of process to go through, but it's worth it.
There,
Well,
now we got
I
some real.
found quite often if the wood is still relatively green that you don't have to stabilize it and you can get it to go down that thin.
I've got a little rough spot here. I'm just wanting to see what it is. Yeah, the wood just chipped out on me is what it is.
Now, Peta said that pretty much any wood as the slimline tube will hold it. And to a point, he's right.
Mm-hmm.
Better, better.
Matt Harbor has joined us.
Hello, Matt.
How you doing?
Hey, Matt.
Doing just a little bit of undercut so that it'll sit flat when I put it on something. I've still got a good ways to go. Got my gauge.
Maybe if you could blow the shavings off the ways, we could see a little bit.
That's better.
Now, what size wrench are you using there, Doug?
1/4 inch. There we go. Clean up right underneath my top section. Okay.
So it's
And
about
then get
6
the,
mil.
yeah, thereabouts. Now we're going to skip that. That's an 80 grit. We're not going to use that one. All right. 120 is where we'll start on this. I do have to finish off this top yet.
Huey figures you must be a moderator, Doug, because you've got a wrench.
There you go. I better. It's my channel. I better have one, hadn't I?
And as Matt says, it looks like you could have started with 220 grit.
I might could have. And Matt and I have had this discussion before. The only reason I don't, I like to make sure that everything is the same in the wood, that I don't have a punky place or a place that I'm just missing, or where, especially with the skew. Sometimes that skew can start bouncing and cause a little bit of a wavy area in the surface. And by starting a little heavier, I can make sure I eliminate that. And also just make sure the surface it's the same, top to bottom, side to side, and I don't have to worry about it.
And you got to build up that watch time.
Well, that too.
Now, Pete says that won't be any good to Brian, being as how their mortises are metric.
And also, by starting with a little bit heavier grit, I don't have to spend as much time on the lighter grits either. I can get done with that first one a little quicker, as well as the others. Make sure I get that. There's still a little bit of a ridge there. But
always think
yeah,
it's
I
good
mean,
it's good practice to have a sanding routine, and no matter what, stick to it.
yeah, I've been using this basically the same routine since really since I started when Russ Fairfield and some of those guys were still alive and very, very active. Um, Russ used to suggest to start at 60 grit and have 40 on hand just in case. And his stuff, he would finish out. He would do his no finish, and you'd swear there was lacquer on it, and there wasn't. There was nothing. There's a little chip right there that I'm working on. I can't feel it with my Band-Aid. My Band-Aid. That's masking tape wrapped around a Band-Aid.
That's just in case the Band-Aid fails, the masking tape will hold, right?
The masking tape is because the Band-Aid was starting to fail already. It wasn't sticking anymore.
And Mick Deuce has joined us. Good evening, Mick.
Hey, Mick.
How you doing?
My sandpaper's safe. All right. Go from 120 to 180.
Whereas asked, what would you put a finial like this on?
A hollow form.
What'd you say, Mark?
Barbara's asked, what would you put a finial like this on?
Go on a hollow form. You could go on a tall, slender box. Could go on a vase that has a small opening. Because I've already done a 1/4 inch tenon, I would have to put a little bit of a collar on it. Actually glue the collar onto the finial probably, and then put it on the vase or the vase or whatever you want to say it. That thing you
Mick
stick
Jews is
flowers
in.
in.
Hello, Mick.
So yeah, lots of options. It needs because of the height of it, it would have to be a taller piece, I'm sure.
Just to be proportional.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, a mistake that a lot of people make sometimes is that they use far too tall a finial on the piece that they've made it for.
Yes. Agreed. Without any question, it's agreed.
Oh,
And then somebody comes along and wants to, if you put it on a box, they want to use the finial as a handle, and then they snap it off.
Oh, then you don't make, if it's going to be used as a handle, you don't make a thin, delicate one.
No, you make a knob for that. But what I'm saying is people don't think about it and they use it as a knob, even though it was never intended to be that.
Right.
I've had people come in the store when I happen to be there and they want me to tell them about this and that, and eventually they get to a box that has a finial top on it, and they want to pull it as the handle. I said, if you don't mind, if you'll grab the lid instead of the handle, you're not nearly as apt to break it. Oh, never thought about it. And if they broke it, I would not have gotten upset about it. It's just the way it is. My wife's broken one or two. And she was very protective of one. Had a nice finial on a box that she just loved it. And I had to leave it upstairs for her. Lo and behold, the cats jumped up on top of the cabinet it was on and knocked it off and broke it.
See, that's cats.
Mm
Cats
hmm.
hate everybody and everything.
Yeah. They're
If the cat
disrespecters of
figures out
everything.
that you, yeah, if a cat figures out that there's something you like, they'll break it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pure
Okay.
spite.
Because this is in a chuck, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to loosen my tailstock just a hair. Not very much. Use my 1/2 inch skew, and we're going to come in and finish this off.
There she goes.
She are separated. Make sure I get that out of the way. Now I can finish off. And I'm going to go straight to 220 on that very tip, just because I want as little drag on that as possible. Put my thumb on top just to kind of put counter pressure on it. One thing I thought about doing, and I may do it here. What time is it? Okay, we got plenty of time. Instead of having anything in the middle, just one long skinny neck to the bottom. And I'll show you what I do different there.
Mark S is in. Hi, Mark.
How you doing?
Toss that little nub.
Oh, Todd's asking Doug. No axe.
I'm still on the sandpaper.
Yeah.
Give me a break.
Oh. Jennifer
That's
circles
Kit
in
Kat,
babes.
not Twix.
Kit Kat, man, Kit Kat.
That's it.
I don't eat either one, so it doesn't matter.
Told you I'm old. I get confused.
All right, run it down close to 200. And just for kicks, let's spray a little. We talked about alcohol a little earlier. We'll put this thing out of its misery. I'm seeing a white line. What is that? Ah, it was just dust down inside. Very good. When the end is like this, when it's hanging free, be careful not to put too much pressure or to grab it. Don't grab it too hard either. You can snap it here, you can snap it here, you can snap it down here. So
Then,
that's
then
that.
you tend to get a little upset with yourself.
Absolutely. You would not believe how mad I have gotten at myself.
And Mark S. has joined us. Hi, Mark.
Hey, Mark.
How
How
you
you doing,
doing?
babes? Doesn't take much with this finial. Just barely getting any on the paper towel, just enough where I can kind of see them getting it on the wood.
Try to make sure you don't get it on your tenon at the bottom. Otherwise, it
Right.
makes gluing later a little bit
Yeah.
challenging.
Yeah. Now, what you can do, if you, whether you forget or you accidentally get your abrasive and wax down on your tenon, you can come back with another piece of paper towel and some alcohol, and you can clean that tenon off pretty easily. But it's easier, like Ruby said, if you keep it off of there to begin with. I'm going to go ahead and run that up to 740.
I find
You guys
when I make tenons that are going into the lid of something, I make them a little thicker than a 1/4 inch, but along the tenon, I also make little lines with either a parting tool or a skew, so that it helps the glue adhere the tenon to whatever it is you're
Yeah.
gluing it into.
Yes. Yes. That's a fabulous idea. I've done it a time or two. I usually intend to do it all the time, and I forget. All right. This black wood it finishes beautifully. My secondary band-aid's starting to come loose. Okay, whatever. Switch to a clean area. I was in a online group that just a few times a year, 3 or 4 times a year, we do a challenge and trade. And they'd give the parameters, and if you were willing to accept it, you got put your name on the list, and everybody was paired up with somebody else, and so we make our piece and then post it, and then send it off to whoever our recipient was.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the first ones we did, well, we did a goblet first thing, and then about 2 challenges later, the fellow who was running it, he says, "Okay, let's do a challenge or a goblet again, but I'm gonna make it more challenging. You have to be down to a 16th of an inch somewhere on that stem." And so it only took me about 4 tries to get one successfully, and that was a lot of fun.
But I imagine you also learned quite a bit in the challenge.
I mean to tell you, and some of you folks who have done this will not, you'll understand. I think. Well, if I wipe that out, you could. That's the tool I typically do those thin ones with, my 1/2 inch bowl gouge.
Now, Pete says that he quite often leaves the tenon a millimeter thicker, then finish the cut after the finish is on everywhere else. And that's how
That's a
he
good idea.
avoids getting it on his tenons.
That's a great
That's a good
idea.
idea. Yeah.
Okay, we've done the abrasive paste. A little bit of Axe carnauba wax. This is the only thing I use cloth in the shop for, is to apply wax. That's you just saw everything I do with cloth in the shop. Everything else is paper. Oh, what I started to tell you was one of those little thin goblets, I was putting the final finish on it, and I grabbed the cup just a touch
Oh no.
too stiff and snapped it right at the base of the cup. So I had this beautiful little spindle, skinny as it could be. Had some beads and coves and onions and fillets, all kind of fun stuff, but had nothing to do with it. It was terrible. I cried, literally. Dun, 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 dun. I'll leave that there. It's fine. I'm going to use my ultra thin parting tool. Coming here at the very base of that tenon. Ruby, you like my kitchen knife? This one's even thinner.
Oh dear.
This is a reciprocating blade. You see the remnants of the teeth there?
Yes,
I use that's the part that goes up for me. And there you have. Let's switch. Let's switch. Da-da-da. There you have one African blackwood finial.
Hold it away from the camera a little bit.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Yep.
Back
Nice,
me.
mate.
That's
That almost
even
washes.
That's better.
even better.
There we go. There we go. I'll get this camera thing straightened up one of these days.
We'll get you. We'll train
Boom.
you on that.
Boom. There it is. Now, we got it's 10 till.
10 minutes left.
Let me put this on just to show you something I wanted you to see. This blackwood really didn't need it. We tend to push everything. That's not going to go in there. That's too big for that chuck. Huh, okay, no problem. Grab one of these. I know this will fit because I've already done one of them. Again, in my Hornig chuck or Hornig jaws for the Nova chuck. Thank you, Rich. I do appreciate it. Not sponsored by them, but they took care of me on this one.
Shall I go over it?
You're getting a lot of very nice comments coming in, Doug.
Well, thank you, guys. Thank you. Go back to my overhead. There's the one I'm looking for. I'll get it out here in a minute. Now I can clamp that down. Yeah, Jeff Hornig had made mention that these jaws were going to be named after him. They were coming out soon, all that kind of fun stuff. He didn't say it was going to be 4 months down the road. So I was all excited and I started sharing it. And next thing I know, I'm hearing, no, they're not out yet. It's going to be a little while. So they're out now.
Rich says, no problem. Thanks for showing them off. He says you're the first to show them off on YouTube, he believes.
All right. Good to be first at something. All right. Again, just wanting to get this round before we start to do anything real with it here. These oak pin blanks I've got another 100 of them behind me here, and I've got the same wood. I could cut 300 or 400 more at least, maybe more like 3,000 or 4,000. They're the seat portion of church pews.
Now, Mick is asking if that was a roughing out gouge or an offcut of scaffold tube.
That's a long story behind that spindle roughing gouge.
Mick, I've got one that's 3 inches in diameter that I had to use when I did a trunnion jig for a bridge. That was 20 inches in diameter and 9 feet long. Jamie said he had to drop out, but he'll come back in.
Okay. See if I can't put this over where I can see him. There we go. I'll see when he comes back. Wanted to at least get a good start on this so I could show you sometimes. And Ruby and I have talked about this whole idea of help me say it, Ruby, trembleur.
Trembleur.
Okay, I'll say it right in a minute. And my lathe is I can only go 24 inches between centers, end to end. So that causes me a little issue. But if I wanted to go as far out as this lathe would do, putting pressure inward would be a difficult thing. If I'm getting down 1/16 of an inch, even a little bit bigger than that, 3/32.
If you're getting down that thin, You shouldn't be using compression. You should be using, what's the term?
That's exactly where I was going.
Where you're actually pulling the wood apart.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
the right hand end would be tied in some fashion to your live center on the tailstock.
So it's got a tension.
Yes. Put it in tension.
Right. In my video on doing a goblet, I explain that, and I hold a dowel up and show what happens to the dowel when you put it under compression as opposed to tension. See, when you get old, you have so many words floating around in your head, it's hard to pick out just one or two
You're not
when
kidding.
you need them.
Have a stroke on your cerebellum and you'll find some of those words disappear just momentarily, but they disappear.
Yep.
Kind of nutty. That's where my stroke was, and I've recovered extremely well. I'm super happy with where I'm at. But yeah, every once in a while there's a word that will not. It's not like I can't form it. It's not there until about 10 minutes later. Okay. Imagine if you would. I'm going to take this down to a 1/16 of an inch down to about that far. In fact, let's put a line in there just to give us a place to make our imagination. Man, I can't believe that light washes that out so much.
No, actually, it looks pretty good from here.
There we go. Imagine this is going to be a 1/16 of an inch all the way down. If I'm pushing in, I'm going to break that
Yep.
without any hesitation. So Ruby was just saying, how do we put that in? Talk about putting it in tension. How are we going to do that? This is my solution to that. My solution and yours will vary. I'm going to take some electricals. I've left a little bit of a nub there that's going to come off eventually. And the reason I'm using electrical tape is because it has some give to it. And I want it to not only grip the wood, but I want it to sink into these threads. I'm pulling a Mike Waltz
Mike
here. I'm going
Waltz
the wrong.
I have Mike Waltz watching this video.
I was just doing the wrong thing, wasn't I, Mark? I was going with the spin
Yeah.
instead of against it, which is when I marched that last time Mike had such a hard time. That's exactly what he was doing, and I was screaming at the TV. He said, "Come on, Mike, go the other way." Okay, well I still can. It's already slipping. Okay.
We're gonna have to get you some Canadian duct tape.
I've got some Gorilla Tape here somewhere, and that works really
Surely
well as well.
it would be goose tape.
No, it's duct tape. You haven't watched the Red Green show, obviously.
Red Green, that's the funniest show ever. Okay, I just wanted a little bit of that so it would get down into those threads. Masking tape works great, but it doesn't go down in the threads. Now, there it is. All right.
Chris from Bailey Woodworks has joined. Hello, Chris.
Hey, Chris. All right. And somebody said, "Oh, you're using so much." Yeah, I use so much because tape is a lot cheaper than having to redo all your work. So don't feel bad about using a bunch of tape. And some masking tape is better than others. Some has a little bit of give. This does not. It works, but just not as good as I'd like it to. And I really press it in closer to my work here, just because I want it to be stuck good, just like using the electrical tape for over the threads of my live center. Okay. Now, if I take this and go instead of the zoom. There we go, to the full view. I'm going to back my live center up just a little. I'm not going to trying to pull. Oh, I know what's happened. It broke loose. But you get the idea. You have it in, you're pressing in, you put your tape on, then you back it out a turn, half a turn to a turn. And that puts this under tension, so it's pulling out. And that gives you just almost as much support as pushing in. In fact, I would say when you get it down real thin, you're probably getting as much support as you would otherwise. So since we're there,
There's the tape. Right.
there we go. See, without any support, I'm getting some vibration even there at that point. The chuck is holding it extremely well. I'm not concerned about the chuck, but the wood itself wants to vibrate just a little. But you can do it. Just take lighter cuts. In fact, I'm going to switch tools. We've done one with the skew. The 1/2-inch bowl gouge has kind of been my go-to tool really since I started turning this time. So for the last 20 years or so.
You can do so much with it.
You really can. You can do a skew type of cut.
Yeah.
You have to be, that's one of those things that takes a lot of practice, but you can do it. You can get that same cleanliness of cut, floating the bevel. I'll come in here and get that tip a little bit better where it broke off.
Doug, if you want to highlight me for a second, I'll show you how I deal with that issue.
Okay, give me half a second and I'll do that.
And I would start with where you're at right at the moment.
Okay.
Now, where Doug is at the moment, where he's already shaped the little point on the end of his finial, what I would do is put this into my lathe. This part I've turned a Morse taper too, so it goes into the tailstock. This part is hollowed out, so that thin piece would go right in here. And then using a piece of string like this, and then you'd tie it off, and your piece would go right in the center here, and the string would allow it to turn, but keep it from breaking or pulling off. And that's how we do the trembleurs, the really long, thin pieces. So it's a very easy to make piece you can do at home. Okay?
That's a neat idea.
It really is. And it works.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, good stuff. Always good stuff. All right, I've just kind of continued on doing the same thing. Take a little bit of waste out, and then I'll come back and very lightly run a bit of a cleaning cut, paying attention to my bevel. And I'm doing exactly what you should never do on spindle work, but I'm cleaning up that. I'm just cleaning up that cut going. I'm not really cutting uphill. I'm cutting level, but it's going into the grain. So it's a little bit of a contradiction.
Now, what I do on a piece like that quite often, Doug, is I move my tool rest further to the right, and I let my left hand go underneath the end of the tool rest
Mm-hmm.
so that it's supporting the wood and the tool, kind of
Yes.
like you just did for a second there.
Yes. Yeah. That's I've learned that. I just don't do it very often. I just don't do spindle work all that often.
Unfortunately, I tend to do a lot of spindle work.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if it's unfortunate. It's just what you do.
I
Pays
can't
the
complain.
bills.
It pays the bills.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you get along through here and straighten that up just a little bit more. I've done that little section now. I can come in here and do this. Switch hands. I'm in the wrong space, wrong place. I know that's what Al likes to see. He likes to see me switch back and forth.
I think people should learn how to use both hands.
Yeah,
I think so.
absolutely.
It makes a big difference to be able to switch. See, I can only go over to my left and come back, pushing to the right so far. But I can come in here with my left hand holding the handle, and I've got all the room in the world then. So, in fact, golly, that's by accident, but I like it.
Well, sometimes you have to be able to change because you have either a big belly or big boobs that get in the way.
I certainly wasn't going to go there, Ruby, but I understand what you're saying.
Well,
Oh, there,
a
there he
lot
is.
of the
There you go.
people that turn are older, and as you get older, you tend to grow in size sometimes, not
Yes, yes,
necessarily by choice. So what
right.
you have to do is learn how to adapt for your body configuration.
Sure. And because I'm working back into the bulk of the wood, I can hog that out a little bit better until I get down close. And then I have to slow down again, start rubbing the bevel like I'm supposed to. I about threw that gouge just then. Trying to work this down so it's
Yeah,
there. Now we're getting closer.
Matt says he's learned how to use both hands because it comes in handy when you're turning next to the chuck.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that putting on of weight as you get older isn't a bad thing because
No,
when you get older, if you get ill, you tend to lose weight. And if you don't have the weight to lose, that can be very detrimental to your well being.
absolutely it can.
Living proof of that.
Yeah, it's been an issue for you, hasn't it, Mark?
Yeah, when I went into hospital, I weighed 24 stone, and the nurses and the doctor said that if I hadn't been so heavy, there's absolutely no way I'd have survived.
Okay. I've done about all I can do with that. So I'm going to go back to my half-inch skew.
Lucy's having
That's
a
one.
go. Cheers, Lucy.
Bye, Lucy. It's one of those odd toe down cuts with the skew. More of a, well, not paying attention. Let it run back on me.
She's created a vase. That shape is called a vase.
I'm sorry?
That shape you've created there is called a vase.
Okay. Oh, this one?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Look, pay attention.
there.
That's better.
One of the issues with oak like this, it does chip out from time to time, and you just have to fix it and go with it. I think we're there.
I find with oak you have to be absolutely spot on with your
Yes.
tool presentation because it won't tolerate it.
Ruby, I never did hear you had me show this kitchen knife parting tool to Theo. What did he say about it?
He thought it was a wonderful idea.
Oh, okay. If you need a thin parting tool, you go to a thrift store or you go to a yard sale and somebody's discarding a inexpensive kitchen knife like that, that's a fine way to get you a nice thin parting tool. Ground, as you can see, I don't know, I've ground the edge back pretty significant there so that this is dull. I mean, this is dull, but I ground it way back, and then this is my top side, my bottom side. Sometimes on these cheap knives, he'll put a decent steel on the edge, and that bevel line is kind of the divider between the cheap steel and the decent steel. So that's what the story there is. There it is.
Now,
Couldn't find my wrench for a second.
I'm tending to like this shape a little better than the other one.
That's kind of the thing with finials, isn't it, Ruby? You can try to do two the like, and one will be slightly, just ever so slightly different, but you'll like the different one better. At least it is for me. This one is simpler, just simpler. Tell you what we're going to do. We'll skip forward. That really needs to be sanded, but we'll just go ahead and oh mercy. I was just thinking back to the day, Mark, when everybody was enthralled with well, you had it too, but when Wayne would open his Yorkshire grit and there was that waffly product saver.
Product saver, yeah.
Yeah, everybody went bananas over it. I've got one, or I had one. I think I still have it.
Yeah, I have a couple as well.
Every tin came with one free. Called a lid.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. That's what I started to say was that somebody started to say they all come with one. Maybe it was you. They all come with a product saver. It's called the lid. And I had not thought of that till recently. I was putting my Yorkshire or my axe paste on here, and I was in the middle of working it, and I knocked it off into the shavings.
Oh no.
It wasn't so
You
bad.
just increase the grit that's in there.
And when I picked it up, I had 3 pretty good sized shavings in it, and it was all. So I felt pretty good about it. At least it wasn't the wax. Yeah, that needs some sanding. There's a little lump right in the center of this top run. I'll do that later. I'm not going to part it off. I'm just getting it so y'all can see a little bit. Just put a little shine to it. Yeah, that's oak, but it's got some flexibility to it. But I tell you what, it'll only flex so far, and then it goes snap. And like we said a while ago, it makes you feel so good about yourself when you do that.
You should discover new words.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of like this design as well, Ruby. The more I look at it, I'll get this sanded up. This may, well, they'll both go on something that's why you use paper instead of cloth.
Right.
I don't know if you saw it or not, but it wrapped
Yeah, it
around
wrapped around.
pretty good.
If I were doing that one, the only difference I would make would be I'd make that top thin part a little bit shorter right there.
Uh-huh. Either that or bring this up a little bit.
Nope, I bring the right hand
Just
side in a bit, both
make it
there.
about
Up
that tall,
there,
yeah. I understand, yeah. I'm not, yeah, I don't disagree with you. I'm going to leave that on. I was going to go ahead and part it off, but I'm going to leave it on because I want to put it back in and sand it after a while.
I always find there's three ideal lengths for a finial. That's short, medium, and very long.
Uh-huh.
Long doesn't work. They just go from medium and then make them ridiculously tall.
Right.
There's no in between.
Yeah. You can see
Just
the
for some
black one
reason.
is taller than the oak. I'm putting them bottom to bottom here.
Yeah.
So we have
They both look great, mate.
yeah, for the right project, they will be splendid. Golly, the
Yep.
dust really shows up on that black wood too. But that's
And
okay.
Pete says that a snapped one is just an opportunity to practice another.
There you go. There you go. Let's see. I figure out where I'm at. I'll get everybody together here. Here we go. That's what I was after. So, yeah, it gets my black top. You can see the oak. You can't see the black wood.
So just down one tonight then.
That reminds me, Ken Norwood sent me a sticker as well as the Angry Wood Turner. These guys both have been in several of our lives, and so just wanted to acknowledge them. They sent me a sticker, and I've sent them stickers as well. There you go. Now you can see them.
Well done.
Yeah, the black, I'm covering up the very bottom of it, but it's there.
You're
And
getting
this
a lot
one,
of nice compliments.
well, thank you all. Thank you all so much. Like I said earlier, this is one of the list from you guys. Somebody asked for finials. There you go. You've got finials. You really can't see that well, can you? You can see it, but not as well. But it's there. Anyway, any questions we
maybe
hadn't?
if you highlight you instead of us.
There we go.
Now,
Yeah, you can see
now
it.
they can. Except your black one keeps falling sideways.
Yeah. And that's me. I was trying to get my fingers out from there. Well, let's do it that way. I can hold it by the tenon down here. There we
No, it
go.
looks like they're both drunk.
So there you have them. They're a lot of
Nice.
fun. Tenons are fun. They're good spindle practice, good skew practice, and as you saw with the oak one, that one, they're also good. Just any kind of gouge,
that you want to use. Um, and you don't have to use fantastic wood. That oak, like I said, I'm going to put it back on the lathe. It needs a good bit of sanding. But there again, I'll probably start with 120 and work my way up on it. But it'll be fine. And I'll find a project that is perfect for both of these. They won't go to waste at all. Same with this little oak one that I did earlier. It's shorter than any of them. That's kind of the mid-size mark.
Yeah, that's
Um,
medium.
yeah, it might go on a box. It's say, let's see, this thing is 3.5. If I did a box or even a lidded bowl that was 6 inches on its own, and then put this on top, that would work fairly well.
Mhm.
About 2/3 of what that is, or 2/3 more. So anyway, I've got 3 now. Now I gotta come up with 3 projects that these will work on.
That's
But I
right.
will.
Boxes for them now.
Yeah, yeah. All right. Holy moly. The shop. It's fighting me. There we go. The shop is getting warm. I am getting thirsty, and I know Mark's got things to do, and I'm sure Ruby does as well.
Yeah, I've got to pack my tools because I'm doing a sharpening demonstration tomorrow.
Great, great. Mark, you doing any demos? Got any demos coming up?
Wow, I may well be doing a live tomorrow night, covering for
Excellent.
Wayne.
Okay.
Kim's here.
Hi, Kim. I've
Um,
got 2 demos coming up. Easy Wood Tools has contacted me, asked me to do 2 demos, both in July. I thought that one was going to be, in fact, I thought one was going to be this coming Saturday, but the store was booked up for June, and so I've got one the first weekend and the last weekend in June up in Ohio. So I'm excited about those. Doing some Easy Wood stuff. Got my lives, but for the next 2 weeks, on Tuesdays, I will be out of town. So I will not be on for the next 2 weeks, other than to watch some other people do their turning. But I
Well,
won't be here on Tuesdays.
if you come up to Ohio, you might as well take a side trip and come up the rest of the way and visit me.
no, it takes
That would
16
be,
hours driving.
yeah, right,
You're
yeah.
16 hours from down there.
No, I can be to Ruby's in
It's
about
22.
about 9 hours. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
I'm
just
going
a
to
short.
Dayton. Dayton's only 2 hours away, so be another best part of a day to get from Dayton up to Ruby's place. But one of these days, Ruby,
Then you'll have to stay several days.
yeah, that's it. And one of these days, we've talked about this. One of these days,
Cool.
I'm going to do it.
Before Kim came in, I'll do a live tomorrow night on how I make these. Okay.
Perfect, perfect. Hope I can catch you. I plan to be about the same
Cheers.
time, probably
8
around 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
8
yeah,
o'clock
usual
British,
time.
3 o'clock Eastern. So
Yeah.
figure it
Yeah.
out from there.
Todd says it's only 4.5 hours to Detroit, Doug. So that's a half day's driving.
From
And
Detroit.
And if you can get to Detroit, I'm just like 15 minutes across the border.
Detroit's further than that, isn't it?
No, it's not, because I remember going down to Ohio quite often.
Yeah.
Life's fast.
Well, that's true. I was flying low.
I've spent a summer outside of Detroit, Oakland County, and we had a good time. I drove home twice during that summer, and seems like it was longer drive than that, but that might be right. I'll have to look it up. That might be right.
He's got a premiere in 1.5 hours.
All right, yeah.
Chuck
Zed?
Lincoln's head. Got a spanner. Chuck
Yeah.
it in, mate.
Put it in there, buddy. So I'll wait for Zed to do that, and then we'll say goodbye. It's been
So
good.
it's all on you, Zed, now.
Speed limit was lower then. It
We've
was.
all
It
got
wasn't
we've
40,
all got
but
things to do. We're just waiting for him.
just waiting for Zed.
That was it.
Mama
Anytime.
Sneaks.
There
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 he
he is.
is. Very good. Very good. Well, folks, it's been a good day. Go see Zed here in a little while. Get you something cold to drink. Go to the restroom. Maybe grab a snack and go see what Zed throws off the lathe tonight.
Yeah.
It ought to be fun. It usually is. Usually
See
is.
what he breaks.
All
Finger,
right.
wrist, arm.
All right, folks. We'll talk to you all in the chats. We'll see you here in 3 weeks, I guess. I'll be gone for 2, so I'll see you in 3, if not before. So we'll say goodbye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Have a great week. Spin them around if you can.